In this video, I would like to talk about how we can create organic and bent surfaces. Let's start with a very easy example. From the front, we can see this is half of an arc, and from the top, I would like later to cut off this part. So I remain just exactly only with this shape. Okay, let's give this a try. Let's turn on my layers there. Let's make a layer above it. Okay, so this is my construction I created. And you see I put in some quick arcs. Again, what we need to do is first, second, and third. Same here, the midpoints. And you can see that also then here these 2 points can be connected. But then now, how do we actually construct kind of like that intersection we have? So in the top sketch, somewhere there, let's say, we created this line. So let's start numbering these points. So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. 3 we have already. You see this is actually on this edge that remains. Perfect, job done. Now where do we find 2? So 2, for example, we can find by going down this midline, and then where it touches the lower edge, we start drawing a line to the vanishing point. And you see where it then touches this other diagonal, I actually found where the position of 2 is in case you would look straight from top down. Now all I have to do that's left, draw a line up, and there you see I projected my next point. So now I have 1, 2, and 3 again, and I could eyeball an arc through it. Perfect. Okay. But the problem is a little bit with drawing these arcs and trying to be really, let's say, precise with it. Specifically also the front and the back arc I would like to be the same. And I simply drew these 2 first arcs in, just eyeballed them, and chances is pretty high that they are not the same. So what technique could we use to make sure that the front arc and the back arc and then this arc in between is the same? Well, we can, for example, maybe make use of easy to find intersection elements. So for example, those diagonals. So let's say from here I draw a line back. Oh, I am actually spot on. No, that's impressive. Let's go back. Okay, even there I'm actually the same. I totally would have guessed the lines are actually off. So that was interesting. But coming from the vanishing point, I can also draw a line, and there I, for example, can see that where my back arc cuts the diagonal, it is not cutting the diagonal in the front. So in both cases, this part of the arc is wrong. So here I restarted the drawing because I just wanted to show you what the best process would be. Now from the vanishing point, I can draw the line, find this point. From here, go to the vanishing point, there, and there, and then there. Also from here to the vanishing point, I found the other points. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If we would actually add one more point to it, let's say maybe one here and then one there, it's becoming even easier to start drawing that arc. So let's go ahead and let's maybe in the back try to ghost over it and then put the line down. So you see where I actually cut the diagonals turns actually the shape I have to draw more something kind of like in a cone with a rounded tip than actually an arc. So let's do the same here. Maybe let's make the screen a tick bigger so it's easier to draw. Maybe from there to there. Tick higher. Maybe like this. Let's keep it at this for the moment. Okay, you see now actually that this way the two arcs are actually very close to be the same. They really feel like having the same proportion. So that's perfect. What would be now the next step? Well, we identified before, maybe roughly there would actually be this one corner. So when we see it from the top, that's kind of like the ground profile I would like to see. And let's start adding some numbers to these points. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 1 and 1 remains the same. We also have 5 already. But how, for example, now can we find, let's say, 3? And when we go from 3, where it touches this one edge, down to the next edge, and then over to the vanishing point, you will see that actually at one point the two lines cut each other. And right there, that is actually where, if you would look from the top, we would see the edge of 3 on the point. And then we can draw kind of like a line up, and where these two intersect, there exactly we have 3. And again, you see there's a construction plane. So we have to do the same also with 2. So down to the vanishing point. So until it cuts that diagonal line, and there is 2. And let's do the same with 4. And over. And there. So 2 and 4. And you can see this way you basically start plotting out the arc you have to draw to actually recreate this front preview, but actually with a cut surface. So let's say now we try to draw the line through it. Fortunately, sometimes I don't see actually the lines because my hand is actually over it. So I will rotate this now a little bit. Okay. At the end, I didn't see the 5 again. Let's draw it from right to left. That works a little bit better. There. Okay. Let's say this is good for the moment. And now basically with more pressure, we can start inking and cleaning up these lines. And here's a little trick. You see where this line comes up, where it hits the 3, it should really flow into this line that goes over to the back profile. And when I continue this line, where it hits this point, it should perfectly start flowing into the arc. So I will do this by hand. This will be easier now. And then there. So you want to prevent that you have shapes like this. It's always a line and an arc, and you see the arc comes up and behind goes down. But in this area, you really can clearly see it's a line, and then it flows nicely into that arc. That's very much the trick to getting these shapes nice and even. There. Perfect. Okay, and finish this one, put this one down. Then we also have actually this arc, while it goes then into this line, it also goes down into this line here. And then obviously in the back we can see this line till it hits this edge, and then we are done. Now we created kind of like a small tent, and then we cut one part out. So let's do a variation, and instead of from the top this cut, I from the side would like to cut this through. As some good practice in the back area, this face is actually flatter than the front area, so it will be easier on, in this case, to draw this arc on the back area first. I will plot this one down a little bit, maybe a little bit more upwards motion, a little bit more refinement. Yeah, maybe something like this. Okay, good. Let's double check the position for the cuts. So there it actually went up a little bit more. So maybe this comes there, and it should be maybe this way. Okay, good. And just clean this up a little bit. So it's just a quick underlay. Okay, good. So all this now we can actually bring forward to where we need these lines. So this goes to there, this goes to there, and then here we just draw a preliminary line. I'm not really concerned actually right now with the front arc. Hold on 1 second, I would like this one to be more there. Okay, and there. So we set this actually will be at an angle like this. So from the vanishing point I can draw a line till it hits my other edge of my box. See there, I can line this up and put down like a square. Now onto this square I would like to actually project that arc. So I have already few points. You see, we say this is 3, I have 3. This is 1, this is 1. And then let's say this is 2, then this one is 2. Okay. And now how do we actually transfer these diagonals over into that arced or onto that arced surface? That's actually not very difficult. Let me show you how we will do this. I will for this technique use a different color, and these points here I would like to transfer over. So I maybe start with the right side. So from the vanishing point I will start drawing a line through there, and you see that it then touches those corner points, sorry, corner edges. And then from the other vanishing point I can draw a line through it till, as you can see, this hits actually the red angled line. Do the same here. And if these two blue lines are good, if I now simply draw a connection line, they nearly should intersect at the same point at the red line. And they nearly do. Perfect. Good. So with this line which I just drew in fat, we actually found the position, height position wise, of these two dots. All we need to do now is either I do it maybe here in this case, from the vanishing point, I draw a line till it hits this part. I could also, for example, but this is more line work, go up. So vertical from the vanishing point, go over, from here, draw a line, come down, go back, and I see it cuts it. Way too much work or so. Or other way, I go down, I go this way, there and there. No? Always try to draw just the easiest lines and the shortest lines, because then you minimize drawing inaccuracies. And there we are. So let's say this is B and that is C. So here we have C and then, nope, go away. I don't need you. Here we have B. Okay, and let's try to draw that line through it. Let's rotate this again so I can see all these points. Let's ghost a little bit. So because this is now a cut section that is at an angle, I do not get actually this flat arc. I will actually get again more something that's a little bit pinched. Maybe like this. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. See my cursor getting better now the more or the longer I do the drawing demos. I just got out of bed, so I'm a little bit cold. A little bit of extra weight. Also here, a little bit of extra weight. Same there to put an emphasis on it. And then we can go ahead and start inking it. Here's another trick to do these lines really good. So in general, you should draw these arcs nice and fast on paper. So we can go up and then I continue the arc, but I fade out. So I draw with less pressure. This way, you always come up in motion and you stop here. It's not that when you have a line, you come up and then you stop right at that line. So you get this terrible kink transition. So this is actually another technique instead of just coming up and then right there blending it in. And then here, going in, see this one is pretty easy. And then there. Perfect. We can actually use these types of underlay for creating a lot of very interesting and organic shapes. So for example, here I pull this midline down, and here I put a line down. So you see there is some sort of a cross section, a midpoint, and let's say there and there. This is maybe flat lines, and you see now again I have maybe their point, and their point. And then I could, for example, try to sketch over and see, is there maybe some sort of an arc? Maybe here from there, coming this direction, going this direction, I put an arc in. So you see, starts to look actually maybe a little bit like a camping tent. And maybe there is a door in front of it, so I put down a midline. Let's close this a little bit. Let's say this one actually has a small door, so let's put in some diagonals. And here's a little small trick now. So let me undo a lot of these green lines so we only see the the front part. There. Okay, so let's draw this a little bit cleaner, because this is a nice shortcut so you understand how we can actually easily find midpoints and then draw additional lines that actually are at an angle. Because these lines, they all go to a vanishing point. But the vanishing point in this case is definitely away and outside the page. How could we maybe approximate one for ourselves? So take a look at this. So I will draw a diagonal here from this point to there. Let me draw this one a little bit thicker so you can see it. And then I do one line there. Okay, and for example, I will to the vanishing point draw this line. So now I only have one point, but I was able to draw this midline because I actually have this point and I also have this point. So what I could do now is I start creating myself another rectangle. There and there. See, there's a rectangle, and there I found another diagonal. So this is a midpoint, this is a midpoint. This is not necessarily needed, I just do it so it's easier for you to see on the drawing. There could be another diagonal, and there. And then here I have this next point. So now I have 1, 2, and 3. Essentially all you need are just 2 points. So if I line this one up and line this one up there, we have actually now a line that is perfectly at the geometrical center between this edge and this edge, and it flows perfectly to the vanishing point. So let's maybe we use black. Do the same on the back side, just as a repetition. So nice and thick. There. Okay. Very helpful putting in the midpoint, so I know actually where these two smaller squares are. So you see this bigger square, I actually subdivided into two smaller squares, so I can then via the square diagonals actually find the midpoints on those surfaces. That's there. Okay. Zip, zip, and there is the next one. So, and in case our tent should have some sort of a door, let me actually make this a little bit bigger so I can sketch over my construction lines and cover them up. Okay, so you see here there is maybe the main frame there, and this one maybe goes up there, there. So now you see the doors are flat. If we would say it should be round, which would be difficult with a zipper, you zip along a line, but let's say it should be roundish, then on the midpoint there we can pick a point and draft it over. And there we have it. So the next shape I would like to show you is the Pringle. So from the side it might look like, let's say, like this. And from the front it will be like this. Again, here the bottom is gone. Okay. Before we just took this arc and extruded it out into a cylinder, and then we just decided to trim a part off. That was pretty easy, but now we actually deal with an arced surface. that is not as easy, but again, it's only a matter of putting down your construction points to plot out the curve, and then with a fluid hand motion, we can draw it. So here you see I have my box. I put down the front and the back arc, and I put down the diagonal for and the midpoints, because I will put the could I say that the circle you see from the top onto that face. I do not use this top face here, this one, because that one is too small. This one will be easier. So this is basically one way how you could do it. And then I start to ghost a little bit over them. Yeah, maybe like this. Okay. Shoot, I shouldn't have deleted the earlier arc, which was better. Okay. I tried to draw a little bit faster to get this lecture done a little bit quicker. So please excuse the slide. When you do this, however, what's actually important is try to make sure that this line going over to the vanishing point will be there. And for example, here, this one there, or this one actually is going to there. So let's actually try to do this, to be honest. So let's here this vanishing point to there, to there. So I draw myself a smaller rectangle, because this probably will mark the different points I have to hit, and then use that as a guide to maybe put down the ellipse. Maybe something like this. One more time. Okay. A little bit too big, but let's keep it at this. So why put I down this ellipse, or that shape? These points are actually seen from the side, these points. This one here, 1 and 1, are actually these points. 1, 1, this is 2, 2, and 2. And I would like to find, let's say, the points 3. But in this case here, they are somewhere in mid-air. So I can't just put them on the side of a face. I just deleted some of these lines so they don't in my way. And the easiest way to find them is simply using pretty much the same technique. So where this arc cuts the diagonal, I draw a line down, and then to the vanishing point, and you see where it cuts this line, I go straight back up, and then to the other vanishing point. Here, let's say I continue this line theoretically, so I find the point there, and there, and there, and there. So what's important are these 2 points. Okay. Let's maybe add few more extra points. So let's say this position here. So you see I start from the ground, so then I can actually find which point it is on the arc height-wise. There we have it. And here this line I continue there and up, over, and then where it cuts it there, go up. There it is. Okay. So let's see if maybe with this we can do something already. So this comes up, goes over, and then this goes this way. And that's exactly the way how it should look. And when you start drawing this Pringle shape, you will see that some lines become linear or they flip the direction, and that's really normal. So from the back, I just eyeball this. This would come down, go up this way, and then come down. So nice arcs. But here, this comes up, and then it has to go over. And I don't know yet, so I eyeball this, and later this goes back this way. So you see, this is actually an unlimited sign. Okay, so with these points, let's try to actually bring them over. So I go to there and go down, go over, and there, and there. See, I used a different technique. I simply mapped actually the blue dot over to the back here. So this is there to the vanishing point, and then to the vanishing point over, and then roughly here it goes up. Okay, so there's the next one. Yeah. And let's say, so from there over and over, going this way. Whoa, that's off. This way and this way. This one over, this one over. There are the next points. So I want to double check the second green dot I did here to make sure. Wow, okay, it is correct. Good. So pay attention to what I can do now. You can see it's kind of like becoming a roller coaster. And we'll do this in black now. So this comes up, goes over, this comes down, there. There, actually, then you have to make a sharp arc, and then you go back. And that is really correct. You see my first eyeballing, that was not accurate. Let me make a new layer, because I would like to draw this curve eyeballed one more time. So to there, and then there, and this comes down here, it arcs in, and from there it comes through there and it loops. Now with the drawing tool I have there right now, that loop is difficult, so it comes and goes this way. Good. Okay. Now I can maybe draw this one in red with a little bit more of thickness so you see that line better there. Let's zoom in so it's easy to draw. Come down, go to there, go up, down, go back up, and loop back in. Perfect. So this is, for example, a connection. And in case, more or less, this would be correct in case the Pringle would have a straight edge there. But let's say the Pringle is slightly arced. So, and it arcs down at the center. So what I will have to do here in this case, I put down myself 2 diagonals so I can find actually the midpoint. And let's say this is how deep it arcs down. So from there now, coming, there is the arc. I also have 1 point, 2nd point, 3rd point. I could eyeball a cross section in. Now this looks pretty good. The drawing is nearly done. There is one element missing, and I think right here we have to draw a small connection, a little bit maybe like this, because maybe more like this there, a nicer flow. Then that will actually look a little bit more realistic. So let's put this back, quick drawing over it, loop back to there, and then from there a nice flow into this part. Okay, so that's the way how you draw kind of like a Pringle shape. There is an alternative way we can use, and instead of putting the top view onto the bottom face, we actually work with a side view. This has one advantage I would like to show you, or is very useful for certain applications. So here you see I put down my left and right midpoints, and now here I put down a line because actually I would like my curve to start going straight down, then arc in, and then go up and stop actually being straight. Okay. So when I work with something from the top, now I could also have drawn it actually this way and then arced over. We can also work this way from the side. So if you draw something from the top, you're basically only in control how it might look from the top. If we plot that path on the side, we are more actually in control how it would look perspectively constructed with working with the side profile. Few observations. So you see here this green line. If we draw this one over, you see it cuts actually the red arc. And this part of the arc is actually seen from the side nearly flat. So that actually remains. Only this part here will at one point come over and then blend into the corner point there. So let's put this one in there as well, so we know exactly what we are dealing with. So how do we actually now figure out to bring these points over? One point could work. Ideally, best would be 2 points. So from the vanishing point to the vanishing point, and then to the vanishing point in there. There we found 1 point. Maybe down here we do another one there. As you can see, we found these points actually. So this would be 1, 2, 3, and this should be 4. Okay, so this we continue, and this we continue. So there's the one. From here we go back to the vanishing point, and then you see there it cuts this line there, and we bring this over there, and it's there. So this is 5, 6, 7. Okay, so let's see. So the way how we have to draw it now is actually this way. So we come till we hit the green line, we just follow the path, and now we have to start plotting it through these blue points. And then here this should come down and then go over. Also, there's this, there. Okay. Roughly there. And there, okay, so 3 points. That would also be kind of like our mesh line. That really then helps again understanding how this arc actually looks like. There, a little bit of contour line. There you see I drew the contour line coming out the arc, flowing over to the line, flowing into the arc. Perfect transitions. Yep, and there you have it. So this way we created actually the shape by drawing a side profile and then projecting that into the surface. And again, just to reinforce it, you see the trick are always these small construction planes in all different directions.